Hello guys and welcome back to HTC Invitational. I'm your host Nimsh and I'm joined by my co-host Monk. How are you doing, man? We've seen a great game.
Yeah, certainly a very epic start to start off the day with Nyrea versus Ek0p. Rather, Nyrea versus Forsen. Forsen was down 0-2, but fortunately his lineup of anti-Druid decks was able to defeat Nyrea's Druid. So Dad did it, boys, and he'll move on to the tomorrow's matches.
And if you're joining us right now, we are playing the HTC Invitational round of 16. We'll have 16 players. One of them is already eliminated. And you can see the bracket here. Those are our players. They are playing best of fives in a conquest format. So they have to win 3 games with 3 different decks to advance. Forsen already advancing to tomorrow. We are going to have the top 8, top 4, and the final tomorrow. Today we're going through all those matches. We have 7 more matches to show you. The prize pool is $5,000. The winner is going to take $2,500 for himself. And a big shout out to Trump allowing us to use his channel. And yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun here, a lot of good Hearthstone.
Yeah, certainly. Ek0p, he hasn't really been into the scene much lately. He hasn't played too many tournaments, but more recently, or most recently rather, he got a top 10 legend on EU with a Hunter deck, and that's certainly very impressive. Just Ek0p, we always joke about Ek0p just transitioning into Heroes of the Storm, winning that $1.2 million prize pool, right? But you know what? Ek0p still does play some Hearthstone time to time.
Oh yeah, he does play Hearthstone, and especially he was using the new Hunter with some good scores, and that wasn't a mystery a good Hunter, right?
The Mystery Good Hunter. I'm not sure. I think
Is
it might have
Mystery
been
a
like
good
no, that was
behind
the
all the decks in EU?
that's true. I guess he made Dragon Warlock and he made this new type of Druid, and of course he is like the big rogue player. But some other players make good decks as well. For example, Jab, he got ranked #1 legend this morning with a mid-range hunter, and Proto Hyped, he got rank 1 legend a few days ago with kind of a new hybrid hunter. And judging from the cards in one of these players' hands, I believe that's going to be a hybrid hunter. It's pretty much a mid-range hunter with Leopard Gnomes and Wolf Riders.
That's such a rare sight. Leopard Gnome and Savannah Highmane in the opening hand. But as you can see, the game has started. We have Ek0p mulliganing the Green Patron hand versus Thijs having that Hunter. And we talked about Ek0p a bit, like one of the players from Cloud9, but we didn't mention Thijs. Who is Thijs? From which team?
Thijs is from... No, I can't never pronounce this team.
Nihilum?
Right?
I think it's...
Nihilum?
Right, there are two pronunciations, right? There's Nihilum and there's Nihilum. Or Nihilum. I think
sounds
it's Nihilum.
Right.
It's Latin, I believe.
Okay, sounds about right. But yeah, it's a pretty good start from Thijs, I believe. Thijs is going to be playing the hybrid hunter. And it's going to be really great because this kind of hunter, it has like the strengths and weakness. It has the strengths of mid-range hunter, it has the strengths of phase hunter, but it doesn't have as many weaknesses as that phase hunter and mid-range hunter do. For example, like this hunter, because it has high mains, it's going to do pretty well against Warrior, or at least decently against Warrior. Especially this kind of Grim Patron Warrior that basically it doesn't have many ways to gain armor. It pretty much just has the armor smiths, but those are less reliable than, for example, a guaranteed 5 armor with either shield block or shield maiden.
Yeah, that's certainly true. So this deck is running high mains mostly because it's like you do start as a very fast hunter, but then the face hunter runs out of cards, runs out of steam at some point. And this hunter, when it runs out of steam, it actually doesn't because there are high mains that you can just drop, and your opponent has trouble dealing with them because they use all the auto removal on mid-range cards. But then again, the Green Patron Warrior is very good versus aggro decks. If you're able to draw those cards, if you're able to set up a combo, you might just kill your opponent. And if you get a couple of Green Patrons, what is Hunter going to do? It's really hard to deal with Patrons with Unleash the Hounds. Explosive Trap might be an answer, but right now we didn't see any Explosive Traps. We only see the Freezing Trap from Thijs.
Yep. So Ek0p is able to get back on board, but I think this is still very manageable for Thijs. The problem is going to be the next turn when Ek0p plays a Deathbite into Dread Corsair, getting like full control of the board.
And he has an Acolyte of Pain as a follow-up, and even Non-Mission Inventor, so even though he only has 4 cards in hand, he will be able to draw them. All right, there's an animal companion. It's a Huffer.
Oh, that's probably the best one, I would say.
Yeah, but what do you think about attacking face here and not trading with the Frothing? Because with this play, Death's Bite into Courser, even though Ek0p took 8 points of damage from the Huffer, there is a trap, by the way. There is a secret. Do we know what it is?
It's probably Freezing Trap because this list runs 2 Freezing Traps and no other cards. Oh, it's Explosive. That's interesting. So definitely a tech choice from Thijs. Changing the traps in that deck from not just 2 Freezings, but adding an Explosive as well. Being geared towards more of the aggro matchup. And unfortunately for Thijs, that's going to do quite poorly here because you're just giving your opponent more a bigger Frothing Berserker essentially with that Explosive Trap.
Yeah, but there is a second. Well, there is a Freezing Trap from him right now that will stop this Frothing from attacking. But this is the Acolyte of Pain turn, and Ek0p is going to draw a couple of cards. He's still searching for the combo parts. Not really going to get any armor, so maybe he will be forced to use armor up here. Do you use Death's Bite though? Like, you know that there's a possibility of Explosive Trap, right? Like, you've seen mostly face Hunter cards. You've seen Explosive Trap, you've seen Leper Gnome. So Ek0p might be thinking this is explosive.
Yeah. To be fair though, I don't think anyone's going to bring Face Hunter to this tournament because of all the Grim Patron Warriors. But if they do bring Face Hunter, it's mostly to target other hunters like Mid-Range Hunter and the new Hybrid Hunter. So I would definitely expect like a potential Loatheb on turn 5 and a High Mane on turn 6. That's just like based on the metagame, what everyone else thinks is really good right now.
Face Hunter is also great versus the Malygos Warlock, but I don't think Malygos Warlock is too popular or popular enough to bring counters to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like a fringe deck, kind of a new deck that's just getting some traction lately. But you know what? About 3 or 4 weeks ago, Grim Patron Warrior was kind of that fringe deck that was getting popular.
Yeah.
And
people were like laughing at it.
Yeah, look where it's gotten now.
Well, I can only say that everyone started playing it. So let's talk about the matchups though. We will have Hunter Warlock Warrior versus Hunter Warlock Warrior. Those are the strongest lineups, right? Like the strongest classes.
Yeah, it depends like on your perspective, but they're like the 3 classes that I think players think are the strongest right now.
So possibly Green Patron from both of the players, mid-range Hybrid Hunter from both of the players, and a Zoo. Or Thijs might be playing a Handlock.
Yeah, I think either is a very good option because Handlock, people are bringing Handlock to tournaments lately to deal just with the Grim Patron Warrior. And because I feel like Handlock is actually the best counter in the entire game against Grim Patron Warrior, short of maybe 2 Brawl Control Warrior.
Yeah, I agree. Alright, and back to the game. What is Ek0p going to do here? There is the secret. He thinks this is explosive. He doesn't want to really waste Death's Bite charge. But the line of play might be just attacking with the minion here. Trading with Pilot Shredder makes sense. He's going to test for Freezing Trap, and if this is explosive, then he's going to use the Frothing. But time's running out.
Ek0p, you have to do your turn pretty quickly.
Is he going to get roped?
Ek0p.
And there is a Freezing Trap animation going on. Can he still play the Courser and armor up?
Yeah. There we go. Getting some even more damage onto himself. So the Warrior actually now is kind of a precarious situation with only 16 or rather 14 points of health. And as a Phase Hunter, or like at least you have Phase Hunter elements in your deck, you're probably going to be pretty scared. As a warrior.
Yeah, as a warrior, because you only have 14. There are no shield blocks in this deck, and there are still ways, like Thijs is the ways to deal with the board. Quick shots. I'm always thinking like I don't want to cast quick shot when I have a full hand, or like if I have cards in my hand. I want to draw a card and then deal 3 points of damage. But is there a good way to deal with the Frothing? Like you can silence it with Iron Beak, but is that really a play? I think like the 2-1 Murloc will attack into the 3-2 because that's good value, and you should be happy about that.
Yeah, it's almost certainly gonna happen. Like if you think about this deck though, like what else are you gonna silence? You've already seen 2 Dread Corsairs, and also I guess some Grim Patron versions they do run Sludge Belcher, but it's certainly not a guaranteed. And I think Thijs, having done his research, he'll probably know exactly the exact deck or the tech choices that Ek0p will be bringing in his Grim Patron Warrior. So he might just not be playing around Sludge Belcher here.
Yeah, that's true. Also, like, even if there is a Sludge Belcher, Ek0p didn't draw that many cards, and he didn't play Sludge Belcher before, so now it will be like, it will be a gamble, like, is he going to top deck one? What is Ek0p looking for, though? Like, he has the Inventors.
He's trying to decide, I think, whether he wants a Whirlwind first, or play the Gnomish Inventor first. Or even just play the Frothing Berserker. That's also an option. Because if he plays the Gnomish Inventor and then he Whirlwinds for a full board clear, that might just be a little inefficient because it brings his Gnomish Inventor down to 3 HP, which means something like a Quick Shot or an Eaglehorn Bow can kill it.
Oh man, is he going to execute Mad Scientist? Is that actually a play?
Yeah, it's certainly possible.
Whirlwind, execute Mad Scientist. First play Throttling, then Whirlwind, then execute Mad Scientist, and then attack to spring the secrets.
So, do you actually Whirlwind here is kind of the question.
I don't think so. I think because he only has one Whirlwind effect, and he used one Whirlwind before, I believe, and Death Spite. Did he use Whirlwind before? Or was it like Death Spite only?
I believe it was just Death Spite.
Alright. But still, it's only one effect in hand, so if he gets an Acolyte or even a Green Patron, he wants to have that Whirlwind. I'm not sure how scared he is of damage here, but there's a lot of damage coming from Thijs, and he's going to be able to draw a card from Quick Shots. Well, maybe not this turn, like, you still want to use the hero power.
Yeah, just gotta, at this point, you're so low on cards that you have to get every point of damage in as possible. And just fitting in hero powers is exactly what you want.
Do Whirlwind first now, though.
I would like to see a Whirlwind first, yeah. I'd also like to see an attack in, I guess.
Alright, normally you could also Throttling and Whirlwind, but then you're so low, like you're at 7. So we have to consider that after you Whirlwind, if there's a hero power and... well, double Quick Shots, not really. What is going to kill you? Arcane Golem... Did Ek0p see any mid-range cards? Freezing Trap. Other than that, like, this hunter is just a face hunter from the cards he's seen, right?
Yeah, I don't believe we've seen like piloted shredders in this deck.
There was one shredder. There was one shredder.
Okay, so at least it's more of a mid-rangey kind of deck. You know, there are versions of this deck that curve only to Lothep, for example. Game King finished #1 legend on the European server last season rather, and his version, it pretty much just goes to Lothep and just has a lot of like face hunter-ish cards.
Alright, so here using the Quick Shot, he needs to draw something good. Lepronome is not great. It is providing 2 points of damage though. And Ek0p is getting lower and lower. Right now, he might be forced to use the hero power every turn.
Oh, Armorsmith.
Armorsmith is amazing.
That's the exact best draw possible in his deck.
He desperately needed life. And now he's going to add a bit of... so this might be one of the last turns for Thijs to get that damage done.
Yeah, exactly. The armor can just build up over the course of the next few turns. The thing is, like, Ek0p, besides... he actually doesn't have any activators for the Armorsmith, so if Thijs doesn't play anything in the next few turns, he can just keep hero powering, and anytime he draws into, like, a kill command, it can be potentially lethal.
Yeah.
Or even a
those
second Quick Shot.
Those executes are just collecting dust in Ek0p's hand. Alright, so simple kill command is going to finish the game. A simple Quick Shot.
Wolf Rider, Arcane Golem, just any points of damage. And unfortunately, that's not going to be it. I don't think you even play the Snipe Juggler here. It just gives your opponent more chances to gain armor. So we're going to see probably a hero power pass.
Hero Power Pass is pretty safe. Ek0p needs a Whirlwind. This is 8 points of damage. Warsong is not really doing much.
I think you just
go for draw.
I'm not sure what drawing can do. I think at this point you want to set up a 2-turn lethal. Is there any way you can do that? 3, 4, 5. I don't even believe so with like charging the Frothing Berserker. You still don't really set up a 2-turn.
Well, you have what, like 5-8, right? Next turn you need to deal 10. So not really. Like you still need something else. Like not with the cards you have in your hand. So going for draws, but then Unleash the Hounds will be lethal as well.
Oh,
is amazing. It will stop the Hounds at least.
Yeah, it stops Hounds and it stops an Eagle Horn Bow from being lethal.
Yeah. So that was an amazing draw, but then still kill command, quick shot is lethal, and is there lethal next turn? Not really, not yet. Oh, there is a kill command for Thijs. Ek0p will surely be disappointed. Look at his face. He's clapping. Klappa.
Both players show their appreciation of this wonderful game that we play that is Hearthstone.
That was actually really close. Ek0p almost got it in the bag, but you know, like Thijs still had double kill command, and this deck is poised to get that kill command at some point. At some point, you are destined to draw into kill command and finish your opponent. And if your opponent has 3 points of life left, it's only fitting.
Yeah, I mean there were so many ways out, or so many draws that were good cards for Thijs at the end. Quick shot, kill command. The turn before he had Eagle Horn Bow, Wolf Rider, Arcane Golem. That sometimes it's just inevitable. And also, even if Thijs hadn't drawn something like a high value card, Ek0p still would have had a pretty good, or rather, Thijs would have had a pretty good chance in the next game, because Thijs wasn't able, because Ek0p wasn't able to finish the game off on that turn.
Yeah. All right. So Thijs is getting a 1-0 lead, winning the first game. Game number 2. Green Patron versus Green Patron Monk. This is one of the best matchups right now. Oh man, what is good in the matchup? Do you want many Green Patrons? Can you use Whirlwinds? What is happening? Is Frothing good? Can you set up like a OTK turn?
Yeah, exactly. This is such a complicated matchup. A lot of the times it's determined by who can get like the first big Green Patron playoff, because funnily enough, Green Patron Warriors can't deal with Green Patrons well from the opposing side. But what they can do, let's say your opponent sets up like 5 or 6 Green Patrons, you can actually just charge 2 Frothings into your opponent, for example, and OTK them. Yeah,
it's so weird. Because you kind of want to have minions on board, and this is a race, so you want to play those minions who want to deal damage. But then if you have small minions, if your opponent has the Green Patrons, and you have those Gnomish Inventors and War Songs, he can produce patrons for himself. But if you're winning with those patrons, as you said, you can play double Frothing, maybe Whirlwinds, and charge the Frothings into the face. Weapons are really important. Like, you want weapons, you want to kill whatever is being played by your opponent and get some edge right there. Alright, also like the small differences in decks, like who's playing Gnomish Inventors, who's playing Piloted Shredders. There is a Commanding Shout for Ek0p. Inner Rage, also not everybody's playing that card. Who gets the better Torisan and when? Both players do have Torisan right now. Yeah,
Torisan definitely a key card in this matchup. Exactly what you want to be able to be the first player that start off all these like brilliant combos. We see a Gnomish Inventor on turn 3 instead of the Frothing Berserker, and I definitely like that because Frothing Berserker is kind of like your win condition. You want to save it until you can charge it into your opponent's space, for example.
Yeah. Also for Ek0p, I can see double Courser with the weapon. So if you get so many minions on board, it might be hard for Thijs to deal with everything. And you can actually do it this turn, right? Like just weapon up and double Courser. It seems just too good to pass. And how is Warrior going to react to that? Like, you will not definitely consider Brawl. But Ek0p still doesn't know which deck is he playing against, right? Did he see any cards? Yeah, this can be Control Warrior.
Exactly, it's just armor up, and just judging from that, I would say it's more likely for it to be Control Warrior than Grim Patron Warrior. We see the first Death Spite here from Thijs. And it's going to be an excellent draw, exactly what he needed. In this matchup, it's kind of funny. Sometimes you actually just attack your opponent with the Fiery War Axe.
Yeah.
Because you want to get that extra damage in. It's very similar to like Miracle Rogue back in the day, where each point of damage matters. Because you do eventually, at a certain point in the game, you go for that OTK.
And it's sometimes you actually never don't even armor up. Like it's a question, because if you run double battle rage, and most of the people run double battle rage, if you have battle rage in your hand, you might not armor up for your opponent to deal damage so that you can actually cycle battle rage. But I do think like armoring up is important because it is a race. So a small amount of life will matter in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very interesting point that you kind of want to keep your opponent at full HP kind of for that battle rage. So I guess in that sense, Thijs is winning this game.
Yeah, Ek0p is not going to get a good battle rage here.
But you know what Thijs can do? He's going to get off the first Grim Patron Warrior. Or the first Grim Patron off. He has like a couple of interesting options here. Either going for like just a whole... even more, because you can interrage it as well. So you can actually get... Yeah, so you double this. Then it goes to 4. Then you can even use a Whirlwind.
Double Whirlwind and Death Spite as well.
Yep.
Oh so man, everyone, get in here!
So pretty good, I would say. Pretty good turn 6 play. Fill your board up with patrons.
A grim situation for Ek0p, is it? Or is it not? How do you deal with this board now?
I guess you can throw an unstable ghoul in and just give your opponent even more patrons. That's certainly an option.
Imagine that Ek0p had the Frothing instead of Inventor. Well, it wouldn't change that much, I guess. But now it's looking really awkward. Like, if you go for Torisan, you're making your plays better. But there's no way to deal with this board. Like, if he attacks into 3/2s, he can kill one of the 3/3s. And that's it. Like,
I think this is still okay, though. Because Thijs actually has no other way to activate these patrons. And Ek0p will be able to clear 3 of them this turn.
True, but then 3 remain, and Torisan might be executed. Acolyte of Pain is not doing much, but it can draw a card if needed.
I think what Thijs is gonna say here is, I see your Grim Patron, or I see your Emperor Thorzen, and exactly. He's gonna play.
It was a good play. I will just mirror it. All right, a true mirror match. So many dwarfs.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
Do you remember, like in I think last year, Yokkcast, they tried to build a dwarf deck, and it was such a bad deck. But now, if you build a dwarf deck, it might actually work.
Yeah, I wonder like what deck, if you could only like put human creatures in, or orc creatures in, or taurens in, what deck would actually be the best? It's probably
I think
like
Green Patron Warrior dwarfs all other class decks or race decks.
I like that. Well, I mean, you can't play Warsong Commander in your Grim Patron Warrior deck if you only put dwarves in.
True. Unless you get a very good argument that it is kind of like a dwarf, green one. Okay, so what can Ek0p do here? There is the 1/3. He got Warsong. This gives him a chance to charge with his minions, but this might not be it yet. He will be able to kill Torisan. He has to kill Torisan. If Torisan stays on board for a couple more turns, it's so devastating.
Yeah, he actually can't kill Thorzen without summoning more Grim Patrons. So that's kind of funny in that sense. So yeah, Thorzen will stay on the board for one more turn, and I certainly wouldn't want to be Ek0p here. That being said, he actually has some really good OTK potential. Like you have Warsong, you have a Grim Patron, you have an Unstable Ghoul, Commanding Shout, and Frothing Berserker. Those are actually like all the pieces of the like combo pieces that you need. What would make it better maybe would be like a Whirlwind, for example.
Yeah, he needs a Whirlwind probably. Well, he has an Unstable Ghoul anyway, but so what Ek0p needs is more minions on board, and then possibly Frothing might get lethal.
I think Thijs will know this though, and he'll kind of try to play around that. play as few minions as possible, perhaps.
Well, we are going to see if he's going to extend. Yeah, he just keeps 3 minions on board. So this seems it's not going to be enough for Ek0p. At this moment, he will be able... Oh, double frauding. Wait, can he play everything? 5, 7... let's count double frauding just in case. 6, 8 mana, so he can go... Alright, so he won't be able to play Unstable. He will not have enough mana. Right?
Yeah. Alright, get in here, number 1. Get in here again. And this pretty much just cleared the board. Clears the board. Yeah, Commanding Shout's not a card that we typically see in this deck. It's kind of like, I would say like about 30% of players play it. But it's certainly paying Ek0p in dividends here. And now he's the one with the board advantage.
So how much damage is there? Thijs needs 8 points of damage. He doesn't have a whirlwind effect. Is there enough?
He just has to charge the 8, like everything in basically.
Yeah, 5, 8. Yeah, he exactly has lethal here. Just play all the minions beside Grommash, and he has 11 points of damage with the weapon.
It's pretty sick.
So again, Ek0p was really close to winning, but now he knows that there is enough points of damage for Thijs. And Thijs takes game number 2, extending the lead over Ek0p. Thijs just needs one more win to take the series and eliminate Ek0p from the tournament.
Yeah, pretty amazing there. Like, all the games are actually just really close, and Ek0p just lost both these first 2 games by like just a hair's length, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like each game, if Ek0p had one more turn to live, he would have kind of won in the next turn, right?
Do you remember who had the coin? And because in other card games, there's always a debate, like who has an edge, the player who is starting the game or the player who is going second. And in the beginning of Hearthstone, we're always talking about who has the coin has an advantage because there's an extra card, there's a coin, you can do stuff with it. But maybe right now, with all those tempo decks, the player who is starting is basically winning because he is the first to kill his opponent.
Yeah. It was Ek0p that had the coin because he played the turn 3 and turn 4 no mission mentor.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could definitely make that argument. For example, like Thijs was able to get like the big turns early on. Like for example, that Grim Patron turn on turn 6 where he summoned 7 Grim Patrons, and then he was able to get like a Emperor Thorazane out pretty quickly the turn after.
Yeah.
So still pretty good, I would say.
All right. So now we are going to see Warlock versus Warlock. This is Zoo versus some kind of handlock, I believe, with the Molten Giants.
Yeah. So it's either, I would say, either a demon handlock or just a standard handlock. And I kind of like standard handlock these days rather than the demon handlock because it just feels like Mountain Giants have become a little bit better with the advent of with Grim Patron decks. Because with the Mountain Giants, like what you're really afraid of are BGHs, but Grim Patrons, they don't run BGH. In fact, the only big removal they have is 2 executes. They don't even have shield slams. So Mountain Giants are more likely to stick to the board, and they're more likely to get just huge value plays compared to, let's say, a Void Caller on turn 4, for example.
Same with the Zoo. So like if Grim Patron, Zoo, and Midrange Hunter are the most popular decks and the most powerful decks, then Handlock might be one of the best counters, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's why like it was rated so highly in the power ranks last week. Like I think it's been like I think Handlock is the best now than it has been in the last 2 or 3 months.
Oh yeah, it kind of disappeared. It's like Handlock is this deck that's really stable and really good, but sometimes the metagame is just killing it, and you can't play the deck. But then when the metagame shifts, it becomes, again, one of the most powerful decks.
Yeah.
We saw... right now,
go ahead.
Right now with all those Warlock archetypes, like, you know, when you see Warlock, like, what is it going to be? Is it going to be a Demon Lock, Handlock, Zoo, or Malygos Warlock? It's always tough to really guess what are you playing against, and then this will decide your mulligan and your strategy. Even like after seeing a couple of cards, you sometimes still don't know which Warlock are you facing.
Yeah. I would say like a pretty excellent hand for Thijs at the moment. I think he kind of made the read that Ek0p would be playing Zoo, so he decided to keep a Molten Giant, for instance. And not only does he have Molten Giant, he has Hellfire on turn 4, he has Ancient Watchers, he has Sun Fury Protector, and even a Dark Bomb to follow that up. He can even follow up the Molten Giants with an anti-heal bot, so pretty much everything is going exactly as planned for Thijs.
Even the Void Walker, this is a great opening for Handlock, because you know that Void Walker is not going to deal that much damage in the course of a couple of turns. So when you see a Void Walker being played by Zoo instead of Flame Imp, you are happy about that. Like Flame Imp, right now Thijs had 3 turns to just tap, or basically 2 turns to just tap and draw the cards. Also seeing a tap on turn 3 from Warlock is definitely good for you.
Yeah, exactly. She's gonna be playing the Egg here just to play around Hellfire. Certainly a valiant attempt to play around it, but to be honest though, Imp Gang Boss actually would be pretty good against Hellfire as well. It's kind of like it's kind of one of the cards that made the Handlock matchup slightly better, I'd say, just because like your opponent's Hellfire on turn 4 isn't as good against the turn 3 Imp Gang Boss.
Yeah, so now you do have the Nerubian Egg and you have the Imp Gang Boss, but still, I do believe that Handlock will be favored in this matchup, and seeing double Doomguard in Ek0p's hand.
Yeah,
but this is not really a Zoo, right? This is more of a Handlock with Void Walkers. No, I mean like Demon Lock with Void Walkers.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so is this time to Hellfire?
Yeah, I like the Mortal Coil here to start it off. I don't think this board is like threatening enough for a Hellfire yet. Oh, Owl, that's a really good one. I think you can just Owl the Nerubian Egg, maybe throw up another Ancient Watcher. Just play it nice and slow. Oh wow, playing it even more slow, Thijs. He's really playing towards that
Molten Giant.
Molten Giant, exactly. He sees Ek0p as a slow hand, so that's exactly this actually is like a really good position for Thijs, because he has like all the answers, and well, Ek0p isn't putting that much pressure on him.
But on the other hand, like he played that Ancient Watcher, and he might be forced to Hellfire this turn. He's not afraid of Mal'Ganis, that's for sure. Next turn, Ek0p can bring 9 points of damage with Doomguard and Power Overwhelming. So what is Thijs going to do here? Like counting 9 points of damage, he is kind of like on 4 points of health.
You can actually just perhaps consider playing Molten, Sun Fury, and then Mortal Coil. He might be even more greedy than that and fit a tap in between. That's certainly a possibility.
Well, you probably just start with the coil.
Yeah.
Getting that imp. Yeah, I like it. It's a powerful turn.
Yeah, there's other options like Owling is... You might consider Owling, you might consider Dark Bombing the Direwolf Alpha. If you want to be like supremely greedy and just try to get a free Molten Giant, for instance. But you do have to consider like what can my opponent possibly have, and I think Power Overwhelming and Doomguard are at the top of your threat list right now.
Yeah, also because Ek0p wasn't really playing cards, so you might be thinking, hey, he has kind of something like a combo. Maybe he has Arcane Golem, Power. People still play this in tournaments to surprise their opponents. So he's going for the Hellfire to almost clear the board, set up... Wait, this is over. He actually didn't count for Power Overwhelming Doomguard.
Oh man.
Okay. He had a couple of plays, but he went for the dangerous one. He was greedy from the very beginning of this game.
Yeah, exactly. I think every turn he played like as greedy as possible, but in the end it just didn't turn out for him, I guess. I think he was like, yeah, overall he was just too greedy, because his hand actually was like just really amazing. Ek0p's draw wasn't that great, it had very little pressure, but it was kind of like a hand that was like kind of clunky. And I think Thijs should have made like some kind of read into that the hand was clunky, and maybe played around that. But we're gonna see game number 4. It's gonna be Handlock yet again against, I would say, probably a hybrid hunter from Ek0p, because that's what he has been playing on stream lately.
Oh yeah, he was really favoring that and being happy. He advanced from what, like ranks Legend 600 to rank Legend top 10 with this deck. A very powerful deck. We've seen Trump playing Hunter before as well, and getting really high ranks with it. So
yeah, Trump actually, he qualified for the ESL Legendary Series Finals with that Hunter deck, and after and prototyped. A player that you might not know too much if you're like more of a casual Hearthstone fan, but Protohype got ranked number 1 legend with this hybrid hunter. So actually, there's a Defender of Argus in this deck. Interesting, and even
oh, King Makla.
Are we gonna see some mill action from Ek0p?
Because now he has Makla. Still, this looks pretty good, even though Makla can be answered with BGH, double banana the Makla, and BGH it. But then there's not enough mana for Thijs to do it.
Yeah.
So right now this 5/5 just sitting there.
So this Defender of Argus, that's an interesting one, and there's actually 2 types of decks that Defender of Argus could be in. It could be just in a standard mid-range hunter, like we've seen Nyman use Defender of Argus in mid-range hunters decks. But it also could just be in the hybrid hunter, and we saw Game King, for example, use Defender of Argus in his hybrid hunter deck to finish rank 1 legend on the European server last season.
Are any of those hunter decks running dragons as well?
Unfortunately, Nimsh, Dragon Hunter is not a thing.
Oh come on, we've seen one lately played by Thijs of Time. We might see it today.
It's true.
Okay, so how do you think this particular hunter with Defender of Argus, also on Hymen as well, how is it going to fare against Handlock? Like, there's no clear board clear in Thijs' hand.
Well, you know what? Thijs does have banana, or rather, owl into banana here to clear the King Mukla. Pretty a creative play, I would say.
I always like seeing it, but then again, he doesn't have the coin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the silence and banana is much better.
It's kind of funny here. Ek0p has no really good way of dealing with this. He has to kind of unleash here.
Does skill command help?
Yeah, but even with unleash, like, he can't get rid of the owl, and the owl will be able to trade into the piloted shredder, which is again very unfortunate.
This is one of the best uses of bananas I've seen, actually. He was able to trade Makla without losing his minions. And then he actually buffed his owl to threaten the pilot shredder. Choosing not to kill it. Is this the Belcher turn?
Turn 5 Belcher, yeah, sure. It feels like in Hearthstone we kind of joke about, oh, it's turn 5, let's play a Belcher. It's turn 6, let's play Emperor. And turn 7, of course, Dr. Boom.
Yeah. But
very often
those are
that's true.
Yeah, that's true, basically. Very good cards. So Belcher is green, but then again you also have Lawflap sometimes on 5. Freezing Trap, not that useful versus Handlock.
Yeah, you asked previously like how this matchup is, and I probably have to give the favorite to the mid-range hunter. It's allowed to put a lot of threats on the board, plus it has a lot of bursts as well. So just kind of like the best of both worlds. And I would even go to as far to say that maybe this deck is even better than Phase Hunter against Handlock.
Because you have enough time to actually get those heal commands and set up a board. You do have a lot of the Fraddles. By the way, this turn looked like a Hymen because it was turn 6. But then just using kill command here and Defender of Argus is making a board better. Like normally you would like to keep kill command as a finisher versus Handlock, but getting more board value and not losing everything to a simple Belcher makes it much better, and you can still follow up with the Hymen next turn.
Yeah, not only that, but I think Ek0p made the read last turn that his opponent didn't have AoE. Because I think if Thijs had AoE on the previous turn, he would have definitely gone for it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And he still doesn't have it, so he's trying to draw into something here.
Molten Giant, Hellfire, anything like that would be good. But
Sludge Belcher is pretty good.
It's good, but he definitely would have preferred something else. And now he's in a tenuous position where I think his opponent can make the read that there's no Molten Giants. So at this point, Ek0p can afford to go all in here.
Yeah, Ek0p is in a very good position now. Just pushing. Nothing really for Thijs even next turn. He will be able only to taunt up a 4/5. If he gets, like, even if he gets a Shadow Flame, it's not amazing. He won't be able to deal with the high main.
Yeah,
and
I think.
Now,
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, like, especially now with Siphon Soul kind of out of metagame, like, Warlock's not really playing Siphon Soul, high main becomes even more dangerous for handlock decks.
Oh, it's quite interesting that he maybe wants to go for the Eaglehorn Bow instead of the high main. High main, like, at first, it does seem like the clear play, but the problem is, like, this Sludge Belcher is so awkward to deal with. Like, what minions do you actually run into the Sludge Belcher?
I think you do run the Mad Scientist and Defender of Argus, and you keep the 3/2. Well, you do kill the 1/2 token, so you keep the 3/1 on board.
I guess the problem with that play is you leave your opponent up to something like a Mortal Coil, which is going to be pretty good. And it's going to, like, give your opponent essentially another good out. I hope Ek0p got those attacks in, and it looks like he did.
Yeah, he got it. And he also got a second secret, which is, I believe, Explosive Trap.
Snake Trap.
Oh, it's a Snake Trap. Okay, so is there anything that Thijs can do to not lose next turn? There is 9 points of damage, plus 5, 14.
So yeah, a heal bot would actually save him.
Yeah, but it's not really changing the board position here. He can also play Watcher, taunted up, that's 4 mana. Is he forced to play a 4/2 as well, like a BGH here? And just play BGH, Ancient Watcher, taunt up both, to have some kind of board. Force the 3/1 to trade into the 4/2. Oh, he's just going to play Dr. Boom and die. So again, Thijs going for a play that's a play to win.
Yeah.
But not the play to...
I think at this point, though, like, he probably wasn't going to win that game, so he had to rely on his opponent on not having burst. So compared to last game, I think this was, like, definitely a better line of play than where Thijs basically in the last match in his handlock versus Zoo, he kind of was like, okay, I'm in a pretty good position, but I'm going to take another risk here.
Yeah, definitely. Right now, the playing Dr. Boom made a little sense. He was so much behind that he was forced to make a powerful play and hope that his opponent doesn't have anything to deal with that, and maybe make a turnaround from that point. But Monk, we are here again, game number 5, where Thijs was winning 2-0 versus Ek0p. Ek0p climbing back, slowly clawing back to take it. Green Patron versus Handlock. How is the matchup?
I would say, like, pretty good for Handlock these days, especially because Handlock these days, they're running double Hellfire, they're running 1 Shadow Flame, so really nice to deal with Green Patron boards. Also, like, if you play Mountain Giants, again, like we said, there's no BGH in this Warrior deck, so it's going to be really hard for the Warrior to clear boards, clear those Mountain Giants, for instance.
Oh yeah, and also, like, the Dark Bomb is just killing Green Patrons, so what is Green Patron going to do? Draw cards, I believe. You need to draw all the combo pieces and get some damage early, but avoid the Molten Giants, right? And then you do need Execute for a possible early Giant or maybe a Twilight Drake. I think Execute is really important in this matchup from the Warriors' perspective.
Yeah, you basically need to get rid of your opponent's first big threat and then hope he doesn't have a second one. That's pretty much how you win in this matchup.
Fireworks to face. Is that a play?
I think you can perhaps equip the Fireworks in order to set up for a Dread Corsair the next turn, or even Dread Corsair here. I kind of like keeping the coin though, because it lets you set up more combos later on into the game. But yeah, I guess this lets you, like, see, the problem here is, like, you possibly give your opponent a Dark Bomb opportunity, and it just gives them something to do on turn 3. Instead of just tapping.
You stop the tap, kind of, right?
Yeah. And at this point, like, yeah, like, he didn't get too much use out of that Dread Corsair.
There is the Molten Giants. First threat, Twilight Drake. I think like Thijs still has a very good hand with that Twilight Drake that has to be answered right now. There is the Slash Belcher on the next turn, which is great versus Green Patron. And Thorison, Molten Samtons, Hellfire. Thijs has all the tools to stop Ek0p's advance, but Ek0p doesn't really have much here. He needs to draw into those cards.
Yeah, he has certainly ample opportunities though to draw in those cards with the amount of card draw that he has with the Acolyte of Pain, with the Commanding Shout, for instance.
Also the fact that he got that Fireworks into Deathspite, and Deathspite is not online. Normally you would love to kill Sludge Belcher with a Deathspite with one charge and finish it off. But here I guess he can use the Whirlwind, cycle the Whirlwind, still draw 2 cards from Acolyte, kill the Belcher.
And then draw 2 cards from Battle Rage.
Yeah, that's true.
So a total of 4 cards can be drawn from Ek0p in this turn. Pretty good deal, I would say.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. So would you go for Battle Rage now? Like attack Belcher, then Battle Rage?
Yeah, I don't mind 2 cards for Battle Rage. I think that's a fair deal. 2 mana for 2 cards. Kind of like a cheaper Arcane Intellect. I would say that's pretty fair.
Yeah, it's a great card. Do you remember the times when it was unnerved? And just drawing cards for every damaged character on the board?
Yeah, that was like the pinnacle of Warrior, you could say. The thing is, like, that card was so good, but actually the rest of Warrior wasn't good enough, or people didn't know how to play Warrior at that time, that Warrior actually wasn't that strong, even though it had such an imbalanced Battle Rage at the time.
True. Alright, so great Thorison here. 6 points of mana just in one turn. But this ties his hand good enough.
Yeah, he has none of like the active threats that he would really want, and both players are going to play Thorison. Neither currently is able to deal with the other's Thorison without trading here. And I think like as the handlock player, you're definitely more scared of your opponent's Thorison rather than like you want to keep your own Thorison, because your opponent is the player that has like the combo opportunity. So you don't want to give him like too much combo opportunity. Too many free combos, for instance. And this going into turn 7 with an Emperor's Thorison being played, I think this is actually pretty bad for Thijs in the sense that there's a slime on the board, which is exactly what you don't want. But at least there's 2 Ancient Watchers, and there's actually no way for Ek0p to get past those 2 Ancient Watchers with Grand Patrons.
Well, actually, if he goes attacks with Deathbite into 1 Ancient Watcher, then he has a fantastic turn next turn, which might be OTK. Because right now he deals 4 damage to 1, and then next turn he can attack into second one, killing both of Watchers, and dealing damage, having the Whirlwind effect to all the minions. So if by that time he has double Frauding on board, he can use the Whirlwind as well to get even more buffs. And Fraudings are like 4 points of mana. I would not like playing Frauding here. I think I would just like attacking to one of the Ancient Watchers and maybe just armor up. And set up an OTK next turn, if possible. How much damage would that be? You will have basically around 7 minions on board with Taskmaster. Let's say 6 minions. With 6 minions, it's plus 12. And then there's 4. That's 16 points of damage.
Oh, Defender of Argus. I would say that's a very good draw, actually. Because it lets you kill off and not only does it let you kill off the Frothing Berserker, but it lets you get rid of the slime, which you actually don't want because it enables patrons. It also lets you buff the Ancient Watcher out of Deathspite range.
Yeah, that's really important. And Ek0p obviously doesn't have the Warsong yet, so OTK was out of the question, but still, he can draw into one. Alright, so here, it's getting those Green Patrons, I believe.
Yeah, 4 Green Patrons at least on this turn. Throwing in the Cruel Taskmasters, that could be even more.
I think that you can use Taskmaster to actually kill the Watcher.
Oh, I think you actually just use a Whirlwind to kill the Watcher.
I mean the 5... Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, definitely. You can just use the Whirlwind here. So attack, like play Green Patron, attack into the 5/6. Then use the Whirlwinds.
Yeah, you kind of play into Hellfire though, but I mean against the handlock, what else can you do? Unfortunately for Ek0p though, Thijs has 2 Hellfires in his hand.
Yeah, Ek0p needs kind of like OTK setup. But you know, he still has Grommash in the deck. Or does he? Have we seen Grommash from Ek0p?
I believe so.
We've seen one from Thijs, for sure.
I mean, we've seen so many Patron Warriors, even though it's the second match of the day, that the decks kind of like meld together in some way. So, Ek0p, is he going to play the second Cruel Taskmaster? Don't believe so. Oh, he actually... Okay, he does go for it. He uses it to kill off that Ancient Watcher. He saves his Whirlwind, I think, because he wants to save it for combo potential.
Yeah, like even for frauding. Okay, but still, Ek0p... well, Thijs has a great situation here. Just attack phase with 2/2, Hellfire. He even taps.
Yeah, fair enough. And I mean, this is probably the best Hellfire that... One of the best Hellfires that I think we're ever going to see in this tournament.
Yeah, it's super strong. Thijs gets down to 16 though. Ek0p not really having options to deal that damage. Not yet, at least. There is a Taunt Giver and a heal for Thijs, so Thijs is pretty safe. There is a Green Patron.
There's a Green Patron, but unfortunately no Warsong Commander yet. He really needs to draw into one of his chargers.
Do you cycle Commanding Shout here?
It's a good question. I think the thing is, like, I don't know if you're going to get that much value from Commanding Shout in this deck. I guess you need it to like kill off giants, right? If your opponent throws down taunted giants on the field. So yeah, I don't mind saving it at all.
But he needs that Warsong Commander right now. Alright, so now it's back to Thijs with so many options. 10 points of mana. What do you do here? You are seeing frauding. It can possibly be lethal if you are not careful.
Yeah, are you scared enough to actually silence this frauding is the real question.
It's a really awkward turn because you want to kind of play Molten, but then you'd like to tap as well. Alright, he's going for a tap. So he might play just Molten, tone up the Molten.
Well, yeah, Twilight. I like Twilight, Molten, and then Sun Fury.
Yeah, it's super powerful. So now Ek0p definitely needs that Commanding Shout. Well, not Commanding Shout, like the Warsong.
If he draws Warsong Commander, that's actually lethal. It's kind of funny there.
He got Battle Rage. That's actually amazing.
If you Battle Rage into a Warsong, do you win? Or you can even Commanding Shout into a Warsong.
It is possible. Wait. Yeah, I believe so. Like with so many minions on board and the Whirlwind still being in his hand.
Wait, can you Patron Whirlwind, Battle Rage, and then draw into a Warsong? Even that's a win.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Ek0p's gonna draw at least wait, if you play the Armor Smith, then Warsong isn't a win either.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's not now. With Armor Smith, like even without Armor Smith, he wouldn't be able to play the Warsong. Now he's just going to replenish his whole hand. Drawing into 6 cards. No, 5 cards actually.
Oh, execute. It's a good draw, but unfortunately it's just not enough here.
Yeah, but he's out of mana. He will be able to kill the giant though. I like attacking into that Twilight Drake there.
I think yet again this is seems to be another Hellfire turn.
And that's actually a second frauding and a second Green Patron, right?
Yeah, even though like that seemed to be a good turn for Ek0p, I'm not actually sure he can win right now because he lost his like 4 of the biggest threats unless he runs Grom. Like if you see 2 Frothings and 2 Patrons, like you're not scared at all of this Green Patron deck.
Yeah, that's true. Right now, like, what can Ek0p do? Just charge those Acolytes of Pain into Thijs' face? Kill him with weapons? Throw the weapons at him?
I mean, you laugh, but we have seen Acolytes of Pain being like that 1 damage that people need to win the game.
That's true. Every point of damage counts. So are we going to see the next 14 turns? Ek0p will do everything to protect his Acolyte of Pain and deal 1 damage every turn till Thijs dies in pain.
Well, it's gonna be 11 turns now.
It's getting closer and closer. Well, Ek0p is getting some health here. So what do you think about not attacking into that Armor Smith first?
I think the Warlock. You mean with the Twilight Drake? I think the Warrior like really it doesn't matter too much. I think either way because you're not gonna win by just bursting your opponent down. It's gonna be like somewhat of a slow attrition war. But I can definitely see like where you're coming from. If you attack the Armor Smith with your Twilight Drake, your opponent like he doesn't get instead of getting 5 armor, he gets 4 armor. So they're almost kind of equivalent plays, actually.
Yeah.
Attacking face with Twilight and attacking Armor Smith. And basically, like, attacking face gives you... it leaves your Twilight Drake up to 3 health, but I guess that doesn't matter too much, so very similar, I would say.
By the way, there is Grommash, so there is still a chance for Ek0p to win. He used double Taskmaster as well. But he has the War Song. It is tough.
Yeah, War Song to give your Grom charge, right?
I think you do play the 3/3 here. You play that Corsair. Because if there is a simple Mortal Coil... Like, you don't even win with this. This is 16 points of damage after Grommash is being played.
Yeah, like we said, like, just the win conditions are kind of gone for Ek0p. Not really great options at all. And at this point, like, you can even afford to play Dr. Boom. And then taunt that, I guess you can't taunt it up because if you already used your Sun Fury.
So being Thijs, what are you afraid of? There is Grommash, let's say, right?
You're afraid of Grom, you're afraid of Dr. Boom, because those are the last big threats that a Patron Warrior can possibly have. So as long as Thijs plays well around both of those cards, I think he'll be in an okay position.
Well, we've seen him playing greedy before, and not accounting for the burst, and then we've seen him playing kind of greedy, but like correct. But still, Thijs has so much heal in his hands. He has a heal bot, he has Defender Vargas, he has Jiraxus if something goes bad. I think killing the minion is always good here. And now if he thinks about Grommash, it's 14 points of damage. And the question will be, can Ek0p deal 3 points of damage from empty hand? Also, like, even if Ek0p gets Grommash and goes for face, Thijs will not be able to play Jiraxus because he's just dead to Grom, right?
Yeah. Even though Thijs has seen both Cruel Taskmasters, there's still the possibility of Inner Rage in Ek0p's deck. So he could potentially have 16 burst damage from his hand. And that's why he didn't want to go Jiraxus on that turn.
That makes sense. By the way, right now we are also facing a situation where Thijs can actually burst Ek0p next turn. Is there enough damage to do so? If the bombs hit face... Alright, so Dr. Boom and Dark Bomb is 10 points of damage, right? So he needs 7 more.
Yeah, but this board is going to be completely clear this turn with the executed.
Yeah, but if the bombs hit face for 8... Okay. True. So there is a Grommash on board. Oh, he gets a Molten. A Molten
That's a good one.
Great.
So you can Molten, Shadow Flame it, and then Heal Bot. And then I think you're like out of range of everything.
What about just silencing Grom? can you do that? So you basically play Molten, you play the heal bots, you silence Grom.
I think this is one of those situations where it's so important to keep track of what your opponent has played so far.
Yeah.
Like, did my opponent play both executes? Did he play both patrons? Did he play any Warsong commanders? Did he play any Farthing Berserkers yet? Those are all so impactful.
What do you think about just Molten Giant, Silence Grom, and then Defender Vargas? It's like 6 points of mana.
That's also very good because there's very little ways for your opponent to get past like those taunts. There's actually no way for Grim Patrons to get past taunts.
I think second execute was used, right?
Yeah, and commanding shouts.
Yeah. He might still use the heal bot, but I would really love to take the risk here and go with Defender Vargas, and then use Jiraxis next turn. Is he going to get roped? Nope. Okay. He managed it. He goes, oh, there's the last card for Ek0p, so Ek0p is out of cards. Can Ek0p go through this board setup? But there's Jiraxis. Jiraxis is going to seal it. Oh man, Monk.
Yeah,
Thijs dismantled Ek0p.
Oh man, yeah, he can charge through everything, but what good does that do, right? Oh, he can actually charge a Warsong commander. How sweet is that?
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
He actually does need to charge the Warsong commander in order to kill this Molten Giant.
I wonder, so if he clears, can he clear this and not take that much damage? He needs 5. Yeah, he can basically almost clear. Leave something like a 2-3 on board. Yeah, and then there is Jiraxis, and he needs 15 points of damage.
Yeah, good luck, Ek0p. Good luck. Basically, like, after this turn, what will basically happen is Thijs can just never play any cards. He doesn't even need to play Infernals, and he'll win this game just by using his Jiraxis weapon.
True. Alright, so Ek0p not able to attack with the second Warsong, but then there is Jiraxis. 5 points of damage. Maybe even heal bot. I like Jiraxis here.
Yeah.
I like Jiraxis killing the 2-3. And then you are what? You've seen like all the cards, right? Like you know that there is maybe even if there is Ragnaros, let's say, or Dr. Boom, after Jiraxis, you're still in a good position, right?
Exactly. I think Thijs was very comfortable after he drew the Big Game Hunter, because that means like even if his opponent ran Dr. Boom, or even if he runs the very rare Ragnaros and Patron Warrior, which we've pretty much never seen, like he's not gonna be able to win this game.
Oh man, another close game actually. This was really close, like getting to the last cards. Thijs just going all in with the BGH. Ek0p not really having any options, taking fatigue damage. It's not like he's going to draw anything.
Yeah, exactly, and unfortunately, like the Patron Warrior is fatigued out. He can't do anything. Ek0p is kind of just smiling at his luck right now. Yeah. I bet he's thinking to himself, never lucky. I drew through my entire deck and I wasn't able to take down this handlock. And actually, you know what? It was kind of a close game. I think it all went down to like Thijs drawing both his Hellfires. He drew fairly well, drew into all his threats, all his answers, and pretty much, yeah, Thijs does it. And it's actually going to be 2 challengers are going to be 2 HTC sponsored players. So HTC players not doing too well in their own tournament lately. Oh yeah,
unfortunately. Yeah, but then Thijs advances, as you said, and Ek0p is eliminated. Maybe he didn't draw that Warsong at the right time. But overall, I think really well played by both players, and I enjoyed that match. So we will have Forsen versus Thijs tomorrow. An amazing match. It will be cool to see those players face each other. And the next match is Savitz versus Hyped. Savitz from Team Liquid and Hyped from Team Temple Storm. Who do you think is going to take it?
Well, that's the next match in the bracket, but I think we have to double check on what the actual next match is. It's actually going to be Tides of Time versus Delay. It's going to be game 3. Oh, it's Savitz. Okay, so Actually, it is going to be Savitz versus Hyped. Sorry, we just got word from production that the European players will tend to play first because it's probably like too late for them later on in like 5 or 6 hours, right?
All right, guys. So if you're hyped for the European player Hyped versus Savitz, stay tuned. We're going to go for a short break right now, but then we're going to get back and see Savitz versus Hyped, then Boston versus Team Liquid.